Happy Easter, everyone. Okay, so today we're going to focus on what is possibly the most troublesome and problematic overlay of all time. Troublesome and problematic because it affects, I'm going to guess, about a quarter of the sites, or the house sites I should say, within 5 kilometres of Brisbane CBD. So it affects a large number of properties. Troublesome and problematic also because people do not envisage that the council rules and requirements could affect or restrict their options in the way that this overlay does. So what's the overlay? Well, in case you haven't read ahead, it's the Traditional Building Character Overlay, TBC Overlay for short. Today, we're going to focus on the 7 different ways that this overlay restricts the design options when it comes to renovation, extension, or a new build on a property within Brisbane. So if that sounds like it's something that interests you, stick around. Okay, so as I said in the intro, when it comes to the Traditional Building Character Overlay, there are 7 key restrictions that you need to keep in mind. Let's start with restriction number 1, number uno. It is quite simply full demolition. Now, we often get people that come to us and say, so Peter, I've bought this property. It's really run down. Like there's rotten floorboards throughout it. The termites have gotten into it. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. So we're just going to bulldoze the house and we're just going to start afresh, start anew, because it's going to be so much cheaper and so much easier. We can get our dream home. You know what we're talking about? Yeah, hate to break it to you guys, but if that property is in the Traditional Building Character Overlay, and if that house was built in or before 1946, then it's protected. You cannot remove it. Now, I won't go into detail as to why, how, all that fun sort of stuff, because we recorded a video on that exact topic last year. So what I'll do is I'll just include a link to the video below. So if you want more information, go and check it out. But what you do need to know for the purpose of this video today is that 99.99999% of the time, those protected houses cannot be removed. I know it is your property. I hear all the excuses every single day, but it's protected and the council rules and requirements say that you cannot remove it. Got it? Okay, let's move on to point number 2. Now this one follows on similar sort of lines as point number 1. Generally speaking, the external original fabric of the house is protected. Now, there is some exceptions to the rules. So you can remove things like stairs. You can remove pre-1946 outbuildings at the rear of the property. If the property is not a corner allotment, and if it is not pre-1911 construction, then you can remove the portion beyond the highest and rearmost ridge, which often means like the rear third or the rear half of the house. However, everything else that is not covered by those exemptions is protected, and the opportunities under the rules and requirements to remove those portions is very limited. So we often get people that come to us and go, oh, you know that front window that double hung out the front? Yeah, we're just going to remove that and we're just going to put some nice bifold doors in there, or some nice French doors. Or you know that window on the front corner? Yeah, no, we don't like it. We want the kitchen there. So we're going to fill in that window. Yeah, no, people. I don't mean to be rude or mean, but it's not going to happen. It's not just an as of right thing. The rules and requirements do definitely, that's a bit of a mouthful, definitely restrict the opportunities to do partial demolition. Okay, so the first 2 there require or focus on what you can remove from the property. 3 through to 7 focus on what you can add to the property. So let me just quickly write them down. Okay, let me explain these here that we've got here. Firstly, roof forms. The rules and requirements are written in a way to encourage traditional roof forms. So I'm talking hips, gables, and pyramids. Almost forgot the third one for a second there. Hips, pyramids, and gables. Things like skillions and parapets, yeah, no, the rules and requirements do not like to encourage those things. So basically, sure, you can have a little skillion over maybe a front veranda or maybe a little entry structure. However, gone are the days where you can have a full-blown skillion, and by skillion I just mean like simply a sloping sort of roof like that, over the entire roof form. It's not going to happen. Ugh, my little bunny nose is itchy. Verandas. Okay, so the rules and requirements, I'm going to sound like a bit of a broken record here, but the rules and requirements are written in a way to encourage the addition or the provision of lightweight verandas on the front facade of the building. Garages. We did a post on this maybe a week or 2 ago. Basically, the rules and requirements are written in a way, I'm going to keep saying the same thing over and over again, written in a way to discourage the provision or creation of garages forward of the existing house. They like them to be set back or under the existing house. Top heavy, again, did a post on this a week or two ago. The rules and requirements are written to encourage top heavy houses. So houses that have a larger upper floor footprint than a lower floor footprint. And then materials. The rules and requirements are written in a way to encourage the use or the predominant use of lightweight traditional materials. So I'm talking tin and timber. So metal roof forms, colour bond roof forms, and timber-like materials. You can have small, teeny tiny sections of blockwork, but that blockwork must be rendered or painted. So what am I trying to say here? Well, essentially, if you're the type of person who loves the parapet roof forms, those flat roof forms, or the skillion roof forms, or if you really don't like verandas, if you think they're just a waste of money, if you just think no one's going to use a front veranda on that property, if you just don't like them generally, if you have a weird thing for garages forward of the house, if you like those bottom heavy houses, those houses with big booties, like the Hampton style, all that sort of stuff, or if you like the modern materials, if you like that face brick or the rendered sort of look, something very, very contemporary, then quite simply don't buy in the traditional building character overlay area, because you're not going to be allowed to do those contemporary modern designs. Okay, that's the point I want to make, guys, is basically if you don't like this stuff here, don't buy in these areas here. The flip side, if you're like me and you really love those cute little traditional houses, then that might be a reason to actually look for a property in these areas, because it gives you an indication of what's going to be preserved into the future. Council's going to try and preserve those original houses, and they're going to try and create buildings, designs, houses, I guess you'd say, that are going to be sympathetic to the original character. Now that's probably something I should clarify. Why is Council's rules and requirements written in a way to encourage these designs? I'm going to be over dramatic here. Imagine a situation where you've got a 50-story high-rise building sitting right next to a cute little 1 or 2 story house. That 50-story high-rise is going to overpower and dominate that cutesy sort of house. This little cutesy house basically may as well not exist next to that thing there. Same sort of principle here. If you have a modern, contemporary, dominant house right next to a cutesy sort of house, it's going to overpower, it's going to take away from the character. And character is something that's very important to our social fabric, our social well-being, our identity, and all that sort of stuff going forward. So that's why the rules and requirements are written in a way to preserve our history, our character, and to encourage work that's going to be sympathetic to what is there at the moment. Now, the final point I need to make is you're probably sitting there going, well, how on earth do I access this information? How do I find out if a property I'm looking to purchase is within the traditional building character overlay? Well, quite simply, you need to use Brisbane City Council's interactive mapping program. I'll include a video to the link to the video, you get what I'm trying to say. I'll link to the video below that tells you how to access that system. Once you're in there, you either need to bring up the property report and look at it to see whether that overlay is listed. Be very careful. We're not talking about the dwelling house character overlay. We're talking about the traditional building character overlay. Very similar terms. People get them confused all the time. They freak out all the time. Not relevant. The dwelling house one's not relevant. You're looking for the traditional building character overlay one. So you look at it on the property report, or you turn on the overlay mapping and see if that purple hatching covers the property. And like I said, you look at it based on, what am I trying to say here? Depending on whether you like this stuff or don't like this stuff is whether you look for a property in that overlay or outside of that overlay. Pros and cons. Like I said, I personally love that overlay, but not everyone does. And I respect that. If everyone was exactly the same as me, we would live in a very boring city. So I appreciate the fact that we've all got to like different things and different designs and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, I think that covers everything that I wanted to talk about today. I'll finish my video by quite simply saying Happy Easter.
For all you red tape lovers out there, I have one thing to say. Well, no, actually, I've got 3. Number 1, the advice provided in these videos is general in nature. It's not site-specific. You would be a silly Billy to go and make financial decisions based on this advice without first checking with the town planner. Don't be a silly Billy. Number 2, Brisbane Town Planning is in no way linked to Brisbane City Council. The views expressed in these videos are my own, not Council's. So if you don't like them, blame me, not Council. Number 3, what was my number 3? Oh yeah, the views expressed in these videos are accurate at the time of recording. If you're watching this video back 10 years from now, the views may not be so accurate. That's all.